You don't have enough manpower. So you have to neutralize well, how do you neutralize the threat? You got to have the right partners who are versed in that space. Like that corporation is versed in the space they are making their revenue from. There are cybersecurity companies such as ours are versed in that space that are so capable to protect that domain name portfolio and give you a cybersecurity solution to protect the domain name. And then you take care of what's called inside the firewall cybersecurity posture. That gives you a complete picture for a comprehensive cybersecurity posture. Otherwise, it's incomplete.
Yeah, you bring up a very valid point, right? Like you have to protect your brand, like no matter what, and I think of when we're talking about like brand, reputation, right? I think of LastPass and,
Yes.
the community that they kind of catered to. They catered to the average user, but then they like heavily catered to the security community, right, as being the best password manager out there. It gives you all of the advanced features that you're probably working with at work, and they ended up getting breached. And it took them 3 months to own up to what was actually breached and how it happened, maybe even longer than 3 months.
Or being sold.
Right. And like I was sitting here like, are you kidding me? Like you don't know what happened? Is that really your argument right now? Because I literally work in the industry that you market to. I know for certain, without a doubt, that you would know exactly what happened within 7 days. Like you can't tell me that you don't, right? And it was really just based on how they handled that I ended up just switching password managers because like there's no way I'm paying you for a service that you can't figure out how to secure, right? And you're over there, owning up and saying like, oh yeah, it's not that bad. And then it turns into they got the vault, but they don't have the key. Oh, they actually got the vault, but it's encrypted this other way. You know what? Never mind. They already got that. Like it's all this back and forth. And I'm just sitting here like, man, guys, you handled this. This is a masterclass in how to not handle a brand related issue.
Exactly. So, Joe, this is so interesting. You brought in LastPass. So, I used to, my previous CEO at that company that we sold, he called me and told me he invested in LastPass and he wanted me to help him during that breach. So, I spoke with their CTO at that time, and it was within a week of a breach, and they were frightened and they wanted me to help out due to the fact that I built all these solutions to combat fraud on the internet. And brand protection. That's my specialty. So he told me that they lost the encryption keys. I said, okay, I'll look. So I did. And I said, my friend, you are in trouble. He goes, can we clean up the underground world? I said, there is no entity on this earth that can clean up the underground world. You gotta understand your insecurity. How do you say a statement like that? Nothing against that person, but it's seriously, they think you hire a vendor, you go clean up. This is not how it works. That's it. The kitty is out of the bag. It's done. I told them what you need to do now is to work on mitigating your reputation. Reputation. What is online reputation? Online reputation is the most essential thing. It's on a personal level. It's your entity, your name, your family name, your credit line history. It's your standing in society and so forth. It's a multitude of say disciplines, right? From an online perspective, your personal identity is important. You don't want to lose that. Your PII data, your personal information, identity data cannot be, you don't want to just give it away. People say, I have nothing to hide in social media. Okay, great.
Right.
Your pictures here.
Right.
All your information is being fingerprinted, digitized, and archived in massive databases now. But the trick is not just protecting an individual reputation. What about the corporate reputation? So there are three factors. There's brand abuse, where you can badmouth the corporation. There is counterfeit if the corporation produces a product that can be copycatted or mimicked so that it will be sold in the legal market on these online stores today and auction sites. And there's the third one, which is unauthorized resellers, meaning I am selling a legitimate product, but I'm not an authorized reseller. There are three, and most people don't know the depths of what is reputation or brand protection of an enterprise. This is what we do. We invented this methodology. We invented these three disciplines or these three areas by which we go not only detect it, but enforce on it, meaning delist it, remove it, clean it up. But there's no such thing that I have an eraser and I'm going to go erase it from the internet. It's impossible. You're going to erase it from the common gathering areas, e-commerce areas, social media channel. So there are channels. You clean it up in social media, e-commerce. You clean it up in your search engines and so forth. There are these well-known areas. Underground, forget about it. You can't because it's not owned by the individual. Also, you can go to a website. So I'm sorry, to a site by which it's underground, by which you can say, shut it down. And they say, okay, I'm not going to show. What are you going to do? Sometimes I'm going to give you the most interesting. There's something called bulletproof web hosting or bulletproof registrar, etc. That concept is a very important concept in cybersecurity. Because then, for example, in Russia, the registrar is the cyber criminals, is the web hosting, is the one who's launching the attack. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Call them and they will pick up the phone. Yes, they have an answering service. They're a full-fledged company. Yeah, but they will not do anything about it. So what do you do in that case? How do you mitigate that? Okay, there's a phishing attack against that corporation, jeopardizing the reputation of the company, or mimicking, say, a website with some indecent images on that website, claiming that this is your website because they can create a lookalike domain name. And they did that. So what do you do? And that domain name is in search engines and in site engine optimization, distributing across the world. And they go distribute it through social media. And they have these engines to do that. So what do? You have to devise a technique. We devised the technique called domain casting, by which we block it from the internet. But the blocking is not just browsers. By the way, we came up with that solution, an expandable solution in 2003. But it's not through browsers only. You have to use other mechanisms. You got to modify the solution. In other words, when you are solving a problem today as a white hat or a vendor, you have to solve the problem by which it can scale over time and change and get modified. Today, everybody's speaking in terms of AI and they're launching all these out there. You must then have an AI solution that detects these threats and able to detect, analyze, and mitigate. You must do all 4 steps. If you don't, you're in trouble. If you notice what companies, most platforms, they have detect, analyze, and that's it. The mitigation part, they say, as I said earlier, if you don't buy my products, I can block it. Yep. No, the mitigation has to be comprehensive and it has to be agnostic to vendors or solution providers. Otherwise, it won't work.
Yeah, that is, it's interesting, like how this still isn't really even thought about. And like to your point, right, where the CTO was saying, well, can't we just erase it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like these criminal organizations, they also have an integrity that they have to